Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Kenzie's Krimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
She says Heaven's Gate awaiting.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with another edition of Kenzie's Krimes, a deep dive into a local murder, mystery, or drama. And myself and Case do not know what Kenzie's bringing to the table, just like you. So, Kenzie, tell us a story.
Tim Bliefnick met Becky when they were both students at Quincy University. The two lovebirds eventually moved in together, got married, and started a family. Becky quit her job in pharmaceutical sales to become a stay-at-home mom, while Tim continued his successful career in the recycling industry. She had 3 sons with her husband, Tim. So Becky's sister says their first 5 years of marriage were actually really good. Okay, so like I said, very white picket fencey.
Like I said, they were actually really good years. Shocking news.
You know, it actually was what it appeared. It looks like the white picket fence, and it was actually giving that. But then things unfortunately did start to get worse. Tim was allegedly very manipulative. It wasn't helpful, you know, with the kids at home. I'm sure there's a lot of women right now like, snapping their fingers. Her best friend also said Becky felt as if she was shouldering almost everything. So apparently the relationship also became more strained when Becky decided she wanted to go back to school to become a nurse. She claims that Tim was unsupportive with that decision, and he was not going to be offering more of a helping hand at home if she wanted to go to school.
He saw his poker game going away in the afternoon.
like, I'm not taking care of these kids. So I don't know how you're going to go to school and do both. Tim claims the reason he didn't want her to take on the new career was for her own well-being because she was already so incredibly stressed. After 11 years of marriage, Tim did file for divorce and claimed Becky became a different person after becoming a nurse. According to divorce documents, it was a wildly contentious split. Becky also sent a text to her friend, and she began to express concern over Tim's behavior. So the text reads, "He has screamed in my face, he has shoved me in front of the kids, and he has thrown things from across the room."
Yikes.
Tim claims Becky was actually the spiteful, unpredictable one, saying she falsely claimed that he was having an affair, falsely claimed he was an alcoholic, just because she was upset over the divorce. She was telling people all these things about him. Tim actually filed for an order of protection against Becky, claiming he was being stalked and harassed by her.
Wow.
Now, the file was not granted. Becky also filed an order of protection against him. You know this judge is like, enough. But
why don't you guys just stay away from each other?
Oh, my God. Now, she sends one against him, claiming he entered the residence without permission. Her order of protection was also not granted. The judge did order both of them to stay away from each other's residences, with the only exception being the exchange of the children. The judge also ordered Tim to return a 9mm handgun that Becky had gifted him when they were together.
Good.
He never got the handgun back.
Oh.
And I'm going to pause right there. If you've ever heard of the game show Murder, that's coming up next, and I have the clip.
Oh, okay. I have.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, coming up in 3 minutes, Brian and Kenzie, Q101, the conclusion of Kenzie's Krimes.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with the conclusion to Kenzie's Krimes today. Mystery murder, deep dive in the Chicagoland area. Kenzie wants to just take it right from there and get people caught up.
Yeah, Tim and Becky, they were married for 11 years, had 3 beautiful boys, lived in Quincy, Illinois. They had that white picket energy going on, but unfortunately, after 11 years of marriage, Tim did file for divorce and things got ugly. They fought over everything. They both filed for orders of protection. One of the last things that was supposed to happen is Tim was supposed to return a 9mm handgun to Becky that was gifted to him during the time of their marriage. He never returned that handgun. 1 week prior to the divorce, this threw me off, the word case is in here, and I thought I wrote case in here.
Case shows up and has an Oasis ticket.
I have like a comic. I'm sorry. Okay.
Case has this sex ticket laying around for the Oasis show.
The divorce case. I'm sorry. 1 week prior to the divorce case going to trial, Becky Bliefnick was 41 years old on the afternoon of February 23rd, 2023, when her own father discovered her lifeless body in the bathroom in her home in Quincy, Illinois.
Damn it.
Tim had actually called Becky's father that morning when he couldn't get a hold of her because they were supposed to exchange the kids. He had them that evening. And he called when he couldn't get a hold of her and asked him to do a checkup. She had been dead for hours by the time she was found and had been shot a total of 14 times from a 9mm handgun.
Oh, God.
Despite the amount of shots she faced, none were immediately fatal, and it took her several minutes to die. One of the windows to the kids' bedrooms had been pried open on the second floor of her home. It appears they were able to scale, whoever killed her, was able to scale the pergola, get onto the roof. Something even freakier about this is once getting onto the roof, the first window that they would have been able to get into would have been Becky's room. They walked past it. They walked past several more windows and pried open one of the kids' bedroom windows. Feels like you know a lot about her home. It feels like you know her kids aren't home. It feels like you know where her room is. It seems a little bit personal at this point, right?
Got it.
After prying open the window, they walked down the hall, kicked in the door in Becky's room. Becky ran into the bathroom, and when she turned around, she was shot 14 times.
Gosh.
Officers believe the attack took place around 1:11 in the morning because at that time, Becky actually attempted to call 911 on her cell phone. She dialed 911-26. The phone had been knocked out of her hand and was found behind the door in her bedroom.
Wow.
Nothing was stolen, and neighbors didn't see or hear a thing. Evidence left behind included a shoe print, shell casing, and small pieces of plastic around Becky's body on the floor, which was really, really weird. Officers were able to get surveillance video from Becky's neighbors. It wasn't from the night of the murder. However, 24 hours prior, 1:05 a.m., the night before the murder, there was a video of a man completely covered walking towards the back of Becky's house, and 48 minutes later, seemingly leaving Becky's backyard. Very creepy.
Yeah.
About a week before that, on Valentine's Day, what appears to be a similar body shape, again, very concealed, big jacket and stuff, that allegedly same man was caught on this camera in the middle of the night walking towards Becky's yard again. The neighbors actually got a notification that time because they get motion notifications and they were awake. So they get this notification, they see a man walking towards Becky's backyard, and they text Becky. Becky didn't respond until the next morning, say she never saw anything, but she thought she was hearing voices in her backyard that night. And her motion light went on, and it got her very, very paranoid later into the evening.
And it's weird, those motion things. They go off in the middle of the night, and then it's nothing. You go out there, and what was that? What was that? Can ghosts be picked up by motion detectors? I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Think they can?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the sheet, right?
That's how they, yeah.
Okay.
You get the sheet blowing in the wind. All of a sudden, the motion detector goes off.
I'm going to give a mini spoiler. It wasn't a ghost.
Oh, okay.
So hold on.
Got it.
Got it.
Yeah. So officers started searching for more video footage. They were able to get a video of a man on a bike not far from Becky's house passing. It was like a business. It matched what the killer was essentially wearing, the dark clothes, everything was hidden. Mind you, it's the middle of winter, so recreational bike riding at 1 a.m. is odd. And it matched up exactly with the time of the murders. The bike footage also matched the previous night of footage.
Also, I'm picturing is Friday with Debo going, "That's my bike," and then he's riding a bike at the middle of the night. Could be Debo that did this murder, and not who we think. Maybe
Could have been Debo.
Could have been Debo.
So Becky's family members, as well as officers, of course, start to zero in on her estranged husband. Officers found an abandoned bike, exactly like the one in the surveillance video, and they found that bike less than a half block away from Tim's home, her soon-to-be ex-husband. They were able to get a search warrant on Tim's home and car, and on March 13th, 2023, about 2 weeks after Becky's murder, Tim was arrested and charged with her murder. So his divorce attorney actually then became his defense attorney, and she adamantly believes he is innocent simply because she knows how much he cared about his children, and she knows how much the children loved their mom. She's like, he just wouldn't do this. The media started eating this story up. One of the reasons being a resurfaced clip of him and his family on Family Feud as he gave a very interesting answer on marriage.
It's time to play Family Feud.
He gave a silly answer to a silly question.
The question was, what is the number one regret that people have from their wedding day?
What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding?
Honey, I love you, but said I do. Not my mistake. Not my mistake. I love my wife.
This aired nearly 2 years before he filed for divorce. Now, his alibi for the murder was he was home with his 3 kids. He did have them that night. Becky was actually the one, according to him, that asked for him to keep the kids an extra night because she wasn't feeling well. Some believe she revealed a weakness and he took advantage of it. During the search, no murder weapon was found. Officers found out that Tim had a burner account on Facebook, though, with the name John Smith. That Facebook account looked at a bike for sale. It was the exact same model, no reflectors. May 23rd, 2023, 3 months after Becky was killed, the trial officially started. One of their big arguments was the plastic found near her body was actually pieces of Aldi bags. They believed he fired into the bag to muffle the sound.
Whoa.
That's why it was all around her body. There was DNA on the bag that actually could be his, but was not a definite match. So strands matched, but it was not 100%. An expert claimed that the crowbar found in Tim's basement is consistent with the tool markings that were on the window when the killer broke in. However, again, could be a coincidence. Besides the obvious money and custody arguments going on in the divorce, the court was able to reveal another motive would be that Becky didn't want Tim's father to be around her children.
Oh, no.
The court wasn't allowed to hear why. However, we do have the documents now of the reasoning. She had several witnesses ready to take the stand during their divorce trial. They were going to take the stand to say Tim's father, Ray, had a history of perversion and abuse toward minor children.
Yuck.
And he knew that these people were going to be taking the stand. Tim's phone also had searches such as how to open my door with a crowbar, how to make a homemade pistol silencer, and how to clean gunpowder off of your hands.
Did AI tell him to use Aldi bags?
I don't know the results for his searches. The defense said there was no timestamps on those searches. Maybe he made them after the murder. That was their argument. Also, the man spotted on the video camera in the middle of the night on Valentine's Day. Shortly after that footage, in the middle of the night, early in the morning, we're talking 1:10 a.m., Tim's phone makes over 200 searches of a car and a VIN number. The car and VIN number match a man that Becky had been seeing, and the truck at that time was parked in Becky's driveway. Tim claims he never cared about the new guy she was dating.
200 searches. VIN numbers are hard because they're so long. So I could see how he screwed up one number over and over again, and he had to do it 200 times.
1 something in the morning, that car is parked in Becky's driveway. A man walks by at that time that's been scoping out the property more than once at this point in time. Your phone then makes searches with that information from that car in the driveway. It wasn't even like he looked this guy up on Facebook. It was the car specific, and there's no relation. A lot of circumstantial evidence, I will say.
200 searches is a lot.
That's a lot of searches.
Unless he searched and got in that whole chain where you end up on like Third Eye Blind later on, where you started.
Oh, we went into a YouTube wormhole?
Yeah,
he was watching like a live
like the last
CCR video?
Yeah, the last thing he's looking at is nothing close to what he started with.
Hey, behind the music on Limp Bizkit. You know what? I will watch that real quick.
He somehow got there from the VIN number that he put in first.
Maybe. Listen, you sound like his lawyer. So, the last damning piece of evidence, guns leave unique markings on their shell casings. And some people compare it to like a fingerprint. The shell casings in Becky's home match shell casings that were in Tim's home. So the expert opinion was that this was for sure the gun. The defense said, well, people make mistakes. Like, experts are people. Like, maybe they read it wrong. They could have brought their own expert in and chose not to, which I think is very interesting. Timothy Bliefnick was found guilty of first-degree murder. He received life in prison without the possibility of parole. Their 3 boys now live with Becky's parents because now they've lost both of their parents, which is horrible. There is a GoFundMe to help these grandparents raise those 3 children. If you look up Becky Bliefnick Memorial and Support Fund, and these grandparents are doing the best that they can.
Kenzie's Krimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
See, says Heaven's Gate away team.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
Well, there's another edition of Kenzie's Krimes on the podcast later. If you missed any portion of it, it's all there whenever and wherever you want to listen to it again, the Brian and Kenzie podcast. Coming up in 6 minutes, we'll give you a chance to go see the Black Keys anywhere you want to see them.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning, and Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.